Ruben Amorim called his Manchester United maybe the worst Man United in history. So how have they just gone and drawn 1-1 with title challenging Arsenal? In this video, we're going to be taking a look. We're going to be discussing the tactics involved from Ruben Amorim that not only helped United stop Arsenal, but probably should have got them the win. The gulf in class between these two sides is absolutely massive, and in fact Manchester United have more injuries than Arsenal going into this particular game. Of course, Arsenal are missing major attackers and an out-and-out centre forward, but United have a number of injuries from defence to attack. So how were they able to stop this dominant, rampant Arsenal side that have just recently put 7 past a Champions League opposition? The key for United was preventing a certain zone in the pitch, and that was the zone that Martin Odegaard really occupies throughout the game and his general positioning throughout the match. We are talking about this zone right here, just in front of the penalty area. If you stop this zone, you essentially stop Arsenal, especially when you're looking at a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back formation with wing backs that are able to come out and contest these wide areas. Because what Arsenal like to do is rotate the ball round through this right hand channel, move it out towards Martin Odegaard and wait for late runs from either the fullbacks or from the wingers or from the striker. It's all through Odegaard though, and if you prevent Odegaard from really getting into these positions, these dangerous zones, you're essentially halving the way that Arsenal go forwards. You're halving their attack. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You've got Arsenal in possession of the football currently, and they're trying to progress forwards. But look at these Arsenal players and their positioning. And look at where the United players are. Look at how condensed the pitch is. Look at how infield they are. They're really making it difficult for Arsenal to play through. They're really making it hard for them to really penetrate. And look at this zone that they're protecting right here. You stop this, you essentially stop Martin Odegaard and you stop Arsenal's progression nearly altogether. You've got your back 5, you've got your 4 here. It's really good from United. It prevents Arsenal from progressing forwards, and even if they do get through that forward line, you've still got a number of players around Odegaard that makes it almost impossible for them to be able to do anything. It falls to Merino later down the line, and he tries to get a shot, but again, look, you've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 even to try and get a block in. It's almost impossible, and it was through this defensive display that built the foundation for United to then try to go forwards. United did this through dropping their 2 attacking 10s in Eriksen and Garnacho to be next to Manchester United's centre midfielders in Casemiro and Fernandes. Now remember, this is a Manchester United side that is nowhere near Ruben Amorim's first choice. Casemiro is a little bit slow, so is Eriksen, so they're not going to be wanting to spread the play. They're not going to be playing further ahead. He has done a very good job, Ruben Amorim, of being able to utilise this formation and this setup to best facilitate Casemiro and Eriksen's skill set, and that is essentially dropping a little bit deeper, condensing the space, and giving Casemiro less time and less distance to run. This in turn gave him far greater impact when it came to tackling the likes of Martin Odegaard, and in doing so prevented Arsenal from really building up through the centre of the pitch. Let's talk about the United goal, because I know that is a contentious one. First thing we need to mention is this is a brilliant hit from Bruno Fernandes, and nobody should take away the quality that he's put on that shot to be able to get United a goal. But what's gone wrong here? Well, first of all, you've got David Raya really leaning over towards his right-hand side, left-hand side if you're looking at the goal. Now, this has a huge knock-on effect, I think, for what happens next. I think what David Raya is trying to do is almost goad Bruno Fernandes to trying to shoot onto this right-hand side. He wants him to try and go over the wall. Now, this is for 2 reasons. Number one, it's mind games. So David Raya is then going to take a step towards his left. He's then going to be in position almost towards the centre of the goal to be able to either stop a Bruno Fernandes shot or to be able to at least catch it or make some kind of impact. The second thing is he has a lot of faith in this wall. It's a really tall physical presence, and it's difficult for any player when you have a free kick to try and get it over this wall. Now, where Arsenal are really unfortunate is the distance that they have between the ball and obviously the wall. it was 11.2 yards, I believe, and that's a really big contentious point, and it should be, because if that wall is a yard further forwards, I don't think Bruno gets it over, and that is crucial, because that plays into what David Raya is doing. He's trying to almost encourage Fernandes to shoot on this side. If the wall isn't tall enough, it makes it really, really difficult, because we see here, David Raya takes another step. We're going to take a look at that in just a second again. He takes a step towards his left. Look, we'll go back. Look at the space difference between where Raya is now and where he then goes. It is huge. So he's now almost central in the goal, and he's ready. But he's relying on his wall to almost be able to stop it. If it doesn't stop it, it has to go higher and lighter. If it doesn't go higher and lighter, it's more difficult. But if it does go higher and lighter, it gives him enough time to be able to make a save. Again, the distance of the wall means that there's more power on the shot, it means it's lower, and it's more difficult for Raya to get that save off. But again, it's a culmination of a bit of error, a bit of a misfortune, and a huge amount of quality from Bruno Fernandes. But I will really state that. Don't take anything away from Bruno, because it is a fantastic hit. The problem they had out wide, which is very different to what they did against PSV, is that when they did overload, they managed to then come central again. The problem that they had against United were these three centre-backs. These three centre-backs were more or less going to be beating Mikel Merino to a header. They're not really going to be challenged all too much when it comes to drifting infield, and Merino isn't really going to cause too much of a problem, which is why Merino ended up drifting out to try and help with build-up. Now the issue with that is that they now have no centre-forward, and it played into United's hands when Merino dropped, because Arsenal no longer had a target. They no longer had a way of penetrating, which means that whenever they went down these wings, it was difficult for them to really then recycle the ball round or get it into the box, leaving for them to recycle back towards Martin Odegaard, and the cycle goes again. It was through this United were able to simply just stop Arsenal altogether, apart from a very good Declan Rice shot. Of course, Arsenal managed to get their equalizer, and where does it come from? It's that exact zone that I was telling you about a little bit earlier. But what have you got here? You've got the United line, which is good. You've got the back five, which is fine. But look at the positioning of Casemiro and Bruno. They're just dropping a little bit too much. They are condensing the pitch, but it leaves a load of space for the likes of Declan Rice and Thomas Partey to move forwards. And once that happens, once Arsenal progress down this wide area, they're able to finally get their cutback into that zone, in that area that we know they want to be. Again, look at this zone. You've got good condensing of play from United, but in this particular example, you've got Declan Rice right here, who is just free to be able to walk into that area, and really Casemiro and Fernandes should really be on to this. It's the one moment they're not. It gets recycled back to Declan Rice, who managed to take a brilliant first-time shot once he enters the box, whips it and hits the post. It's super, super good, but again, one lapse of judgment from United has really cost them here. It was just far too easy for United to be able to keep Arsenal out, and then it was a case of when Arsenal ended up overcommitting players forwards through Timber, through Calafiori. Once they tried to overload even further, it was then down to Dalot and Mazraoui to utilise the pace that they did have to be able to attack these Arsenal flanks. And when I say that United probably could have won it, I really do mean it. They probably should have won it. You've got Dalot driving down this left-hand side because of Arsenal overcommitting players forwards. They're trying to make those recovery runs. But look, you've got a 4-on-3 here currently. It's absolutely incredible. And as he drives forwards, he chips the ball over towards Mazraoui, who's making a good run on the opposite side of the pitch. This is exactly what Ruben Amorim wants, by the way. He wants wing-back to wing-back. He wants wideness of play. He wants the ability for his team to go forwards and then pick the correct pass when they're in these moments. And really, it should have been a goal if it wasn't for an absolutely fantastic David Raya save right here. He kept them in it and probably kept Arsenal with their draw. Utilising the runs from Alejandro Garnacho, from Eriksen drifting forwards, United were then able to build attacks themselves, and it was through these attacks that they probably should have won the game. Finally, before we end, let's take a look at one more. This was in the final minutes of the game, and you've got Garnacho essentially going into no man's land, being pressured by Gabriel here. Now, he does a sensational job of at least getting the ball into the box. It's really well taken by Mazraoui, who takes one touch and it spins it round, making sure that it's on his stronger foot, but again, giving him a better angle to whip the ball again towards another cutback into the box. It's done super well, really good, and you've got an on-running Bruno Fernandes who should be there to fire at home if it wasn't for another fantastic David Raya save. I think he more than makes up for the arguable mistake that he had for the free kick, and the ball ends up spinning backwards towards the goal, and he just manages to get a hand on it. It's so good, palming it out of the goal, clawing it out of the goal almost like a cat. It's incredible. But again, United were really good going down these flanks. They isolated those spaces. They exploited that Arsenal almost overconfidence, I would say, and their lack of wanting to double up and defend. And it should have been a United victory if it wasn't for some great Arsenal last-ditch saves and tackles. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what you make of Arsenal. What do you make of United? And how do you think both sides are going to finish come the end of the season? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.